Is the art of sending letters gone? Is it making a comeback? Was it always there and we just couldn't see it? And why now? Why are people more interested in sending letters and doing other things that are more physical rather than digital? Well, that's what today's video is going to be about. So sit back, relax, and let's have a talk about this. Last couple of months, I've been observing a lot what people have been posting, at least in the areas of social media that I am in. And something that has come up a lot and that I've probably mentioned before is that people are trying to go analog, myself included. We are so sucked into social media and so deep into being in a digital world because everything happens online now that it's almost suffocating and overwhelming. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's also kind of depressing. I find myself often comparing myself to other people and feeling like I've done nothing with my life, even though I have. And also, I have found myself saying that I am in social media for connection, but in reality, I'm spending time, wasting time, doom scrolling because I don't know what else to do, even though I have ideas and projects and hobbies that I like to engage in. But it's so much easier to grab my phone and just watch random videos than actually sit down and work on those things. And letters are part of that because we seek that connection. We're always looking to be connected to our friends, to our family. We're always seeking to have someone to talk to and share ideas with. And social media allows for that instantly, easily. But the problem is that it also sucks you in and has you for hours upon hours looking at other stuff and basically taking away time that you could be using for something else. At least that has been my problem. I unfortunately fall prey to the way that social media is designed to keep you in there. And I finish a doom scroll session and then I feel so bad because I didn't want to be doing that. I've caught myself while I'm doom scrolling saying, I don't want to be doing this. I can talk on and on and on about this aspect. But let's focus on the connection because social media's main point is supposed to keep people connected. And we've come to a point that we think that's the only way to stay connected. But people are actually seeking to connect outside of that. People are seeking to meet people in person and communicate with their loved ones without having a screen in the middle. Because, yes, you can hop on text messages or a video call that's more private and doesn't have all of the clutter that social media has, but it's still a screen. And it's so hard to connect with someone when you miss them and to keep part of them with you. That's where letters come in. And I don't know if this is the reason why people are seeking to write more letters and send more letters through the mail, but I can tell you from my personal experience that letters are a way to keep a piece of that person that you care about with you. A couple months ago, towards the second half of 2025, I decided to not wait for people to send me letters or to ask them, like, do you want to do this back and forth letter thing? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I decided not to do it for the potential of receiving a letter. I do it for the pleasure of sending one and seeing their reactions. And when you sit down and you write something and you take the time to think of what you want to say, and then you put it in that envelope and you get that stamp and you go to the post office and you bring it and you send it. That takes time and that takes effort, and that is very meaningful. You are dedicating a portion of your life for someone else that is important to you, and it's not behind a screen. It's not from your bed. It's not from your sofa. It's something that takes you outside of the house. It's something that requires more energy and more time. And that itself is very meaningful. So when you receive that letter from someone, you get to keep a tangible piece of them. You see their handwriting. You hold a paper that was in their hands and you get to store that, keep it, and no one can take that from you. You may accidentally delete a file, but unless you move and lose it, or God forbid, a tragedy happens and something burns or floods or whatever, you're not gonna lose that, you know? And so you get to revisit that feeling of receiving that letter and reading through it and getting to see the thoughts that that person had. And especially because we are in such a digitally heavy era, we get to experience the extra effort that it takes to write a letter. Because in the old times, before social media was a thing and people connected in different ways, letters were a big thing. And because they didn't have that instant ability to communicate with each other and tell each other everything, I guess it was probably easier to have something to talk about. But now it's so easy to share your day to day, easy to share what's going on in your life, that you really have to put effort into what you're going to say. Because it's not about completely substituting social media or your text messages or your video calls or your phone calls. It's about adding an extra layer of connection that helps you feel more close to that person. Like in my case, all of my friends and family live way far away from me. Like if I want to drive to someone, I would have to drive 15, 16 hours maybe. So I would technically need to take a plane in order to go visit someone, which is not always easy. So what do you do in between times that you have the ability to actually go and visit them or have them visit you? Well, yes, you talk on the phone, you video chat, you text, whatever, but getting to send those letters. And the beauty is that you can send anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be a letter. You can send a package, you can send a drawing, you can send little stickers, you can send any little thing that reminds you of them or that helps you show them how much you appreciate them. And so that's what I've been doing. I started sending people letters for the sake of sending the letters, and I started just doing it for their reaction as well, for the knowledge of my letters bringing them joy. And sometimes I receive letters back, and that also fills me with a lot of joy, because even if I talk to this person every single day through text messages, the fact that they took the time to send me a letter, go through all that trouble, that to me is very meaningful, very important. And like I said, I get to keep that. I have a basket where I keep every single letter I've been sent, and I get to see every single person that has sent me something. I get to look through them. I get to revisit that moment and see their creativity and see aspects of who they are, because the fact that we are so interconnected means that we have to really think about what we're going to send each other and how do we make the letter different from what we could be talking about through text. Well, there's actually a really good idea that one of my friends and I do very often, and is that we send each other questions, but not just like regular superficial questions. We ask each other questions that make us think, questions that are borderline philosophical, questions that allow us to really dig into each other's minds, and we get to know who the other person is at a deeper level. Because we have the day to day and the FaceTime calls and the text messages to talk about current events. So when we sit down to write those letters, we ask each other things that dig through and really make us show aspects of ourselves that maybe we didn't even know we had inside, you know? And again, you know, it doesn't have to be this very complicated thing. It doesn't have to sound like a philosopher wrote it, you know, like it doesn't have to be that deep. It just needs to be something meaningful, entertaining, and something that keeps you connected with that person, that allows you to get to know them even better. Because I feel like as humans, we change and evolve so much, and the person that wrote a letter 6 months ago might not be the same person answering 6 months later. And so that back and forth with the questions allows us to see, like, hey, I told them this thing when I asked the question and then answered it. Because we ask the question, but also include our own answer so that it doesn't end up being like a one sided thing. And so when I get their answers back, I think, oh, I told them this thing. But the version of me of now that is reading their answer is not actually in the same mind space that I was at that moment. And so you get to see yourself as well from a different perspective, because if you were to have that conversation immediately, you get that answer, you have that conversation, then boom, you forget. So whenever you have that waiting time in between, you have extra time to think about the answer. And then when you receive the answer from the other person, then that makes you think again about the same question and how do I see this now that time has passed and I've had different experiences and I've had time to think about it, and this other thing happened, or this new version of me just came to the surface, or whatever the change is. There's something so magical and so important about sitting down and writing those letters when you do it in that way with the questions, because it allows you to do a lot of reflection and allows them to do it as well, and then you interchange those ideas. Now, if you don't want to do questions, you don't have to. Sometimes letters are great to keep in touch with people that you don't actually text with a lot. I have a couple of friends that I don't text or call with, so I send them letters every so often, and they send me letters back, and we update each other on the things that we could be updating each other through the phone. But sometimes life gets really busy, or we're just not in that stage in our friendship, because friendships change, they ebb and they flow. And I am a strong believer that depending on what season in your life you're at, is the person that you're going to gravitate towards more. And that doesn't mean that everyone else is not important. It just means that in this moment in time, this is the person that has the overlap or the connection to be there with you. But that doesn't mean that we have to forget about everyone else. And so writing letters is a powerful way to continue keeping them updated and continue to keep that connection and having that tangible part of them present when you're not necessarily in the same off time, or you don't have the same availability or the same just time to hop on call or text or whatever. At the end of it, I feel like it's all also about just writing the letters for the sake of writing the letters. I think that I can talk with someone every single day and still receiving a letter from them means a lot. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a letter. You don't have to send a blank paper that you wrote your soul into. Sometimes it can be a postcard. Something that I'm doing with another one of my friends is that whenever we travel somewhere, we send each other postcards. Now, he has traveled more than me, so I have received his postcards more. I still have to travel somewhere and send him one, but I get to see through his eyes that place that he visited because he shows a postcard for me. And I have other people that also send me postcards from where they live, where they've been, and having people that take the time to go to a place, find the postcard, purchase it, and then send it to you and write something nice. That is magical. I love how they will narrate where they are, how they're feeling, why they wanted to send me that postcard, what it means to them. And it's like you're getting into someone else's mind and their experiences, and you're getting to live an extra life because you get to see the world through their eyes. And that is powerful. That is magical. That is something that has so much meaning and so much wonder. I just love it so, so, so much. Every time I receive something like that, it makes me really happy. And I do think that, it makes it easier when you feel lonely and when you don't get to be with those people. When you unfortunately have to be far away and life makes it really difficult to be in the same place at the same time. Ultimately, it's finding the people that you want to stay connected with and finding the people that you want to share a piece of you with, and doing it, regardless if they answer back or not. Unless they get annoyed of you sending things to them, do it. It doesn't matter if they write back or not, because even if they just text you and say, "Oh my gosh, I just got your letter, I'm so happy, this is so exciting, yada yada yada," even that is very happy, very satisfying. That has been one of the biggest motivators that I've had, and I definitely love it so, so much. So I guess that is today's little philosophical analysis, or however you want to call it. I just felt like this was the perfect topic for this week, especially because we're still starting out the year and we are, I guess, adopting new habits or trying new things out. And I think letter writing or sending postcards or anything that you can send through the mail is a great, great new thing to adopt in 2026. So I'm going to let you go because now my duty is to go and answer some letters that I've received recently that I haven't sat down to answer. So thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope you go and send a bunch of letters to your loved ones and let me know in the comments how that felt. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.